Globalization connects us. It opens doors to learn, share, and collaborate across culture. And when cultures meet, something new and beautiful can be created. Nona, an Indonesian girl group under 88 Rising, blending their local roots with global pop. They represent a new kind of cultural crossover. But here's the thing, when cultures mix, it's not always equal. Sometimes one gets louder, sometimes one shift just to fit in. This documentary takes a closer look at what happens when global exposure empowers, but also endangers local identity.
I first found out about Nona it's through Instagram. It was a post by 88 Rising, and I already knew that they had artists like Nikki and Rich Brian. So when they introduced an Indonesian girl group, I was curious.
For me, it was from Heads in the Clouds, a lineup post. It's a major music festival in LA. And when I first realized Nona was Indonesian, I was like, oh my god. So it was an instant follow for me. What stood out was their campaign. They really lean into Indonesian culture.
Yeah, it's very unique because in their teaser they used gamelan as instruments, and their music video was shot in rice fields and a cholok in Bali. They even showed congklak and even played Po Ame Ame in their debut track shoot.
When they introduced themselves on an Instagram post, they wore batik. But it was not the traditional kind, so we're talking corsets, tube tops, mini skirts, so it was more Western.
Honestly, I thought it was very brilliant because it means more people are now being exposed to Indonesian culture in a modern way.
In globalization theory, there's a concept called cultural hybridization, when elements of different culture mix to form something new. We can clearly see this in Nona's use of batik. Batik isn't just a fabric, it's our identity and part of who we are.
When Nona combines batik with Western fashion, corset, bustier, and miniskirt, they're reminding batik for global audiences. Through this, over 300,000 followers are being introduced to batik some for the very first time. That's not just a number, that's a global exposure.
It's mean more people are being exposed to Indonesian culture. And this might be one of the smartest and fastest way to make sure our culture is seen.
But sometimes I wonder, why must we reshape our culture to match Western aesthetics? Why can't the world adjust to us? So are we really collaborating? Or is this a subtle imperialism?
Cultural imperialism is when a dominant culture, usually Western, begins to shape our values and norms globally. And the influence isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's hidden in a trend. When I see batik is styled in Western fashion, it may appear to be cultural hybridization. But if we take a look closer, we can see these changes are made to match Western aesthetics and appeal to international viewers. So is this a really unequal cultural exchange? This can be a form of subtle imperialism, an almost invisible kind of influence. Over time, it can lead people to believe that batik in Western style is somehow better than how it's traditionally worn. And that's where it becomes dangerous. Let's think about it. What if global audience begin to think that batik is only worn in corset and miniskirt? Or maybe the worst case is, what if our future generation of Indonesian grown up and believing that's the only or correct way to wear batik?
So, where does it stand? Is it cultural imperialism or cultural hybridization? Maybe it depends on perspective, and that's what makes this a dilemma. When batik is told through a global lens while still honoring its roots, it can become a way of proudly sharing Indonesian identity with the world. But what looks like global appreciation on the surface might actually be reshaping our culture in a way we don't realize until it's too late.
I love seeing batik in spotlight. I just wish we didn't have to change it to be seen.
I think it's still a very clever way to introduce our culture to global audiences. Look at batik now, it's being noticed everywhere in the entire world, which is a big win for Indonesia.
This documentary doesn't aim to dismiss Nona's success. Instead, it invites us to reflect more critically. Globalization is a double-edged sword. It opens doors, but also brings risks. And when culture meets globalization, the line between hybridization and imperialism often becomes blurred. In the end, it depends on the lens we choose to see through. But one thing remains clear. Let's carry our culture forward with pride and above all with critical mind.